So welcome back guys to another video, and today I am doing a video response to Johnny Millennium, the Happy Console Gamer. A couple weeks ago he made a video talking about his gaming regrets, and I was like, man, do I have some regrets? I think all of us do when it comes to video games. I wanted to share some of my personal experiences. Now, my first regret was back in 2017, I decided to sell my retro collection. Now, I don't regret selling my collection. Matter of fact, I made a whole video talking about that. You guys can check it out. But in the midst of selling my collection, I was getting caught up, making transactions, selling games online, something I haven't really done since I was collecting. I never really sold a whole lot of stuff online, and let alone sold my video games. That's why I had a huge collection. But the thing is I was selling some Sega CD games, and one of the games I was selling was a game called Wild Woody. Is it a good game? Absolutely not. It's a clunky platformer, 90s era 2 humor with a pencil doing perverted, flaccid things to enemies, but I was selling it, and someone had messaged me and they were like, hey, how much are you selling Wild Woody for? Well, I went on eBay, I went on a couple of different price checking websites, and I saw the price. I was like, okay, it looks like it's selling for $5. So I messaged a guy and I'm like, I'll sell it to you for $15 because I wanted to, make a little bit from shipping, and I wanted to make a little bit of a profit to myself, and I thought, $5, whatever. The problem is I did not look at the full, complete listing. What I mean by this is I accidentally sold this guy a copy of Wild Woody that was the loose price. I had it complete in box, even with the little foam square thing. And the problem with that is Wild Woody, for some reason, complete in box, goes for over $100. And I had already made the transaction. The guy had already sent me the money on PayPal. I'd already gotten ready to ship it when I had found this news out. I was gutted. I was like, oh my god. And then I could not message the guy and be like, hey, I made a mistake. It's not a $5 game like I thought it was, so, you're gonna owe me this. I couldn't do that. Customer service, no. Couldn't do that. It was my problem. It was my fault. And from then on, I definitely tried to make sure to double and triple check my work. And I will tell anybody, if you're selling anything online, double, triple check your work. Don't get caught up with the money flowing in the bank that you lose sight on what you're actually selling. And this goes to my next regret. A couple years ago, I bought the Arcade 1-Up Street Fighter 2 cabinet. And I do like having this cabinet in my home. I have it in my living room. It's a great centerpiece when people come over and they're like, oh man, you have an arcade cabinet. I'm like, yeah, and I get to talk about Street Fighter 2. The only problem is the Arcade 1-Up cabinets, I don't know how they are now, but the first batch are very fragile. And, when I bought it, I enjoyed it for the first couple of weeks, but then the more I started playing, the more I was like, I'm scared I want to break this thing. I don't want to be too rough on it. And even, when my girlfriend's kids play it, I'm like, oh, don't be too rough on it. And arcade machines are made to take a beating. So I really regret kind of buying the Arcade 1-Up cabinet, and I'm kind of stuck with it, to be honest, because as I see the prices online, it is going for a good amount of money. I can make my money back and then some. Hell, I could sell my Arcade 1-Up cabinet and buy a PlayStation 5. But the problem is it's so big to ship. I couldn't justify doing it. So I'm kind of stuck with it. Now, I could mod it and put a Raspberry Pi inside of it. I've seen various videos on that, but the problem is that's a very cost-effective mod that honestly right now I don't feel like spending the money for. And when I want to play arcade games, I find myself just playing on the Raspberry Pi or on my PC with MAME, or playing Street Fighter 2, playing it on the Switch or the Pi or the Super Nintendo. I mean, I have so many other ways of playing Street Fighter 2 that honestly this was kind of a wasted purchase. But hey, it's a great conversation opener right when you walk in my front door. Now, this is a funny gaming regret because I feel like a lot of folks are going to be like, Xander, what are you doing right now? Because I was on a podcast back in 2018, a podcast that my friend Anthony, Magnus X1, was a co-host on, and we were talking about RPGs, and they were gushing and talking about The Witcher 3, the complete edition. And the more I talked to him about it, the more I was just enthralled, and I was like, oh my god, I want to play this game. This sounds so freaking good. So right after I was done with the podcast, I went to my local GameStop, and I bought The Witcher 3 Complete Edition on the PS4. And I went to the food court, and I was eating my lunch, and I'm sitting there looking at the game still sealed, and all of a sudden I started having this echo in my head of Anthony saying, "Get ready to play 300 hours of gameplay, my friend. Get ready to play 300 hours. And it was just echoing. And I was just like, oh my god, can I play a game like this? Do I have time to play a game like this? I haven't played Witcher 1 and 2. Am I going to be completely lost? And I was just like, almost having a little bit of an anxiety attack, thinking about Witcher 3. So I never played it. Matter of fact, I kept it sealed and sold it a couple months later for another game. And still to this day, I regret that I never played Witcher 3. Matter of fact, Witcher 3 now is on the Nintendo Switch, and that's a great way to play it because you can play it on the go, you can play it on your TV. You guys know I love the Nintendo Switch for that aspect alone. But the problem is it doesn't look as good on the Nintendo Switch. And I feel like if I was playing the Switch port, I'd be selling myself short. So maybe I'm just making more excuses not to play The Witcher 3. But man, I want to play it, but it intimidates the living heck out of me. Which comes to my last regret. My last gaming regret is I don't beat as many games as I would like to. There was a time a couple of years ago that I would buy any game that came out. I felt like I didn't want to be left behind. I felt like, making content on YouTube, I wanted to be in the know. I wanted to, if a new game was coming out, I wanted to be the first person to play it and tell my friends about it. But, that's a very unrealistic approach, especially now with so many games coming out. Weekly, there's new games. There's no way you can play every single game that comes out. So I'm very select on what games I do buy, but I still don't beat as many as I would like to. And it kind of bothers me sometimes because I end up playing a game, I end up getting sidetracked and playing another game. Before I know it, I have a huge backlog, just like everyone else. Everyone has a backlog. So there's just, I don't know. I feel like there's no excuse for it that I should just beat a game and after I beat that game go to another game, but it's just not realistic and I regret it so much. I mean, I live to be like my friend Chris, aka DC Verdaya. This guy has beaten 61 games as of now in 2020. Unreal. The last game he finished was actually Final Fantasy 15, which is a game I still haven't finished myself. And I really wish I could be more like Chris. We all need to be more like DC Verdaya. So anyway guys, those are some of my gaming regrets, my video response to the happy console gamer Johnny Millennium. What are some of your gaming regrets? Leave a comment below, I'd love to hear some of your thoughts, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, but also hit that bell so you're notified on all future videos that come out on this channel. Also, I have the original video that Johnny Millennium made. You guys can click and check out in the description. Definitely check out his channel in case you haven't already. Definitely subscribe. But anyway, guys, as always, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And as always, happy gaming.